Seventh graders, today is the fifth and final day of this TinkerCAD project. And so as you see on the screen here, you are going to make sure that you have answers to the evaluating conclusion questions. You want to make sure that everything in your design notebook has been completed, and you want to submit that design notebook so it gets graded by your teacher. Our essential question that should guide us today is, how can failure lead to success? So as you went through TinkerCAD and you did all these different lessons and projects and you created some things to get 3D printed, my guess is that not everything worked exactly the way you wanted it to, or everything looked exactly the way you wanted it to right away. And so that really is an example of failure, not being, proper, not being what you expected. And so it doesn't mean that there's a problem with that. That failure, that's part of just, making mistakes and things not working right. But then, in the end, you were all successful in kind of putting these projects together and getting things printed out. So how did that failure, how did those mistakes, when things didn't work out properly, how did that ultimately lead to your success? So that should be the question, the essential question that guides us today, that you should be able to answer as well. All right, so let's pause this video and open up your design notebook. All right, our design notebook is open. We should have scrolled down to find the start of day number 5. You should have a goal for yourself today. What would you like to accomplish, or what would you like to learn? Here you see our essential question again. How can failure lead to success? I kind of just talked about that a little bit. Give an answer to that question here in the blue box, the must answer, the must do box. And then today we're going to draw some conclusions. So you need to write the answers to the conclusion questions. Please explain your responses in as much detail as you can, and you should always aspire to use complete sentences. So the questions that you need to answer today are: what did I learn when using TinkerCAD? What was my biggest challenge working with TinkerCAD? What was one example of success that I experienced when doing my 3D designs? Next question: why was it important to go through the starters and lessons when first learning TinkerCAD? If I had the necessary TinkerCAD skills and could make anything, what would I like to create, and why would I create that item? And then, how can computational thinking be applied when developing an engineering solution? Now that, notice, is an aspire to answer question. We'd love you to try to answer that question, but there's a lot of big words there. First of all, what is computational thinking? There is a link right here to a website about what computational thinking is. I would encourage you to click on that link and read through to see some examples of what that means. So then that question is, how does computational thinking, how do you use that? How do you use that way of thinking when you are solving problems? That's really what this means in terms of an engineering solution. Once you have questions answered, you're going to want to do your summary. What was something that you accomplished or learned today? Okay, a couple sentences about that. And then you see the end of day 5, and that's the end of this particular project. Before you submit this, make sure you go back and you make sure that you have answers to all of your questions. Double check for the pencil icons to make sure that you have answers to those questions, especially the ones that you must answer. And pay attention to the questions that you should answer. So go back and look for those icons, the pencil icons. Look for the screenshot icons, the camera, to make sure that you have screenshots of things. If you don't, you can go back to TinkerCAD and find those. When you go to TinkerCAD, let me go back to the main page of TinkerCAD to find the lessons, and any new designs that you create are going to come up under your recent designs. But over here on the left where it says 3D designs, circuits, code blocks, lessons, lessons is where you can click on to get all the different lessons and starters and everything if you need to go back and insert any screenshots of those. Okay, so make sure you have screenshots of those. And then just also make sure that you have things checked off. So if you've completed something, make sure that you have those checked off, showing completion. All right? So if you have questions about any of this, about any of these conclusion questions, these evaluating questions, anything from day number 5, don't forget your summary at the end. Please reach out to your teacher. Otherwise, get this all wrapped up and finished up and get your design notebook submitted. All right, have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.